Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and we got a little mock draft roundup. ESPN dropped a 7-round mock, and NBC Sports also dropped a mock draft. Theirs was only 4 rounds, so we'll break down both of these mock drafts and some interesting takeaways from both of these because, you know, the NFL draft experts, they have people on the inside, and they have inside sources on all this stuff, so we'll see what they have to say on what the Texans are going to do in this year's draft. Before we get going, my man Ruben on Twitter, he dropped a really interesting interview with Paul Wall, and they were talking back and forth, and he asked him a question of, if the Texans win a Super Bowl, what is the song that you're jamming right after? What's the song that you're getting all your buddies hyped to? What are you playing? Let me know down in the comment section. What song is going on if the Texans win the Super Bowl? His answer was "Wanna Be a Baller," which I can't lie, that's an amazing answer. Wanna be a baller, shot collar, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Let me know down in the comments, though, what song are you playing after the Texans win a Super Bowl? What's your hype song? Let me know down below. Let's get right into these mock drafts, though. ESPN, they dropped a 7-round mock draft from Matt Miller. And this is what he had the Texans doing. Round 1, Josh Simmons. Round 2, Marcus Mbow from Purdue. Round 3, Terrance Ferguson. Then TJ Sanders, DJ Giddens, Jermari Harris, and then LeQuint Allen were the picks that he made for the Houston Texans. Here are my takeaways from the ESPN mock draft. Number 1, I love the idea of going O-line in back-to-back rounds. He went tackle, and then he went a tackle-guard combo in Mbow from Purdue. And I've seen a ton of people saying, you know, the Texans could end up drafting Josh Simmons at pick 25. He's a very popular pick. A little bit of a risk, I know, but ever since the Texans traded away Laremy Tunsil, the thought process amongst NFL draft experts was, oh, the Texans are going to get one of the top left tackles in the draft. Obviously, a lot of people think Will Campbell, Mbow, they're going to go in the top 10. But then the next guys, one of them being Josh Simmons, has been mocked a ton to the Texans at pick 25. Do they make it there? I'm not sure, but I do like the fact that they go back-to-back O-line here because I think it's a huge need for the Texans and something that they're going to try to fix in this year's draft. And taking Marcus Mbow from Purdue is another really good pick. He's somebody who performed really well at the NFL Combine and a kind of can play guard, play tackle in college, and I think he's a really good prospect that you can bring into your team and really develop and help grow this offensive line. You need more talent. You need more competition in that O-line room. So if they go back-to-back O-line, hey, I'm perfectly okay with that. Takeaway number 2, and I didn't get this at all. Why are we taking a tight end in round 3 instead of a wide receiver? I mean, why? We have Dalton Schultz, Cade Stover, Brevin Jordan. You have 3 tight ends on the roster already. I know the OC that you're bringing over, Nick Caserio, was a tight end coach. He loves his tight ends. He, talked about it in his press conference whenever he started with the Houston Texans. And obviously he's worked with greats like Rob Gronkowski before. But I just don't see it. And it's like Terrance Ferguson out of Oregon, probably a good, prospect at the tight end spot. But I don't know. I feel like there was better wide receivers on the board, more wide receiver talent that could help you out in round 3. And especially because the Texans don't take a wide receiver at all in this mock draft. And that's why I just think it's unrealistic what Matt Miller has the Texans doing in this mock draft. I actually did a video, maybe 2 weeks ago, for the Texans' plans at wide receiver, guys that they could add. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, so it had people like Brandon Cooks on there. But if you want to go check it out, it's on the channel right now. I'll also put that link in the comment section for you. It has a lot of great round 2, round 3 wide receivers the Texans could take. And I kind of break it down into slot options and true X receivers. Go check it out today. Like I said, I'll put that link in the comment section for y'all if y'all missed that video. My third takeaway from this ESPN mock draft, though, is I actually really like some of the later round picks. I'm not going to dove too much into the 7th round picks, right? Like, Oh, like if you're upset at a 7th-round pick in a mock draft, I think you're doing too much. But I really do like the mock picks of T.J. Sanders in the 3rd and DJ Giddens in the 5th. I think the value of both those picks are fantastic. T.J. Sanders, I really like him at the defensive tackle spot. Is more of that, pass rushing interior defensive lineman, can play that 3 technique, which is, over the guard. That's where the 3 tech would line up for the defensive lineman. I think TJ Sanders would be a really good option. You have a huge strength in the defensive line. You continue to add to it. Even though I think if the Texans do add a defensive tackle, they'd be more focused on a interior guy, somebody who can play the nose tackle spot, and that's not as much TJ Sanders. But hey, if you add another great pass rusher on the defensive line, I'm not really going to complain too much. And DJ Giddens, another really good value, which I do think the Texans are going to draft a running back in this draft in the middle rounds. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those 3rd-round picks the Texans have, they used to trade back to get, a 4th and a 5th to acquire more picks in the middle rounds. I like DJ Giddens, his value right there. The Texans want one thing and one thing only with their running back selection in this year's draft: speed. He ran a 4.43, which is enough to say, like, hey, he's kind of a speedy back. But you look at the 2 guys the Texans have talked to in their pre-draft process so far: Jaden Blue and Brashard Smith. Both those guys running the 4.3s. So they want speed in the backfield. DJ Giddens, I think, is a nice pickup in round 5. Overall, for this ESPN mock, I would give it a B. I would give it an A if they went wide receiver in round 3. That's the one pick that I'm kind of hung up on. Nothing against Terrance Ferguson. I'm pretty sure he's a really good tight end prospect. But with other wide receivers on the board, and I think that's a higher need for this team rather than a tight end spot at this moment, I just can't see why you go tight end instead of wide receiver in round 3. We'll get to the NBC mock in just a moment. I actually think I like that mock a little bit better than this one. But whoever the Texans select on draft day, they're going to be wearing a Texans draft hat. And if you want to get a Texans draft hat, or any Texans hat for that matter, go to chatsports.com/Texans hats. They haven't dropped the draft hat just yet, but once they do, it will pop up at this link, chatsports.com/Texans hats. That'll send you straight to the Fanatics website, and it lets them know that we sent you over there. That link will be in the comment section description of today's video. If you need a Texans hat, if you're waiting for that Texans draft hat, go check it out, chatsports.com/Texans hats. Now, the NBC mock draft, like I said in the beginning, was only a 4-round mock, and this is how they had the Texans selecting with these picks. Kelvin Banks in round 1. Tre Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss, in round 2. Emery Jones Jr., the offensive lineman from LSU, in round 3. And then Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle from Florida State, also in round 3. So you've seen the ESPN one, and now this is the NBC mock draft. I said I like the NBC mock a little bit more just based on the first 4 picks that the Texans take, right? Let me know down in the comment section, which one do you like more? Do you like the NBC mock, or do you like the ESPN mock? Go down in the comment section and let me know which one you think is better. Here are my takeaways from the NBC mock draft. And the first takeaway, it's a little bit from both of the mock drafts, is that the draft experts really believe one of these top left tackles is going to fall to the Texans at 25, which I just have a hard time believing. Since I've been covering the NFL and since I've been working at Chat Sports, I've worked, what is this now? This is my 4th NFL draft. Every year, tackles and offensive linemen go way earlier than they're expected. I don't think I've covered a single draft where in the top 20 picks there wasn't 4 or 5 offensive linemen taken. So I just can't believe that Josh Simmons and Kelvin Banks, in a league where offensive linemen are in short supply, teams need offensive line help. You're telling me the 2nd and 3rd best left tackles in this draft class aren't going to go in the top 20 picks? That's hard for me to believe. If Kelvin Banks does make it to 25, I would love for that to be the pick. I just don't think he'll make it there. I think if the Texans really, really want him, they're going to have to trade up into the high teens to get him or Josh Simmons. I just don't see a world that both of those guys, or either of those guys for that matter, make it to pick 25. But a lot of these, self-proclaimed draft experts out there really do believe a left tackle is going to fall to the Texans at pick 25. My second takeaway from the NBC mock draft is I really like the pick of Tre Harris in round 2. I think the more and more I look at this draft, I think the Texans are going to be fine with taking whatever receiver falls to them in round 2, whether that's a Jalen Noel, whether that's a Tre Harris, whether that's a Jaden Higgins, whether that's a Kyle Williams. I think there is an abundance of really good round 2 wide receivers in this draft class. The top end with Tet McMillan, Matthew Golden, I think the jury's out on kind of like that, 1 through 4 ranking, but the 5 through 12, class of wide receiver, it's a really solid unit, and I like Tre Harris. Back in that video that I showed y'all earlier in the show, once again, that link is in the comment section of this video. I have Tre Harris as one of the top true X receivers the Texans could take in rounds 2 or 3. I really like his build, almost 6'3", but he's a bigger-bodied receiver that also gives you a lot of yak ability, that yards after the catch. I really like a Tre Harris pick in round 2 or round 3. I think he would fit well in this Texans wide receiver room. And my third takeaway is I think everybody's on the same page with the Houston Texans in that they are going to have a trench-heavy draft, which means the offensive and the defensive line is going to be heavily focused on. And as you look at the first 4 picks in the ESPN mock draft and then the first 4 picks in the NBC mock draft, they both have the Texans taking O-line in round 1, and the ESPN one had them double dipping at the offensive line. And for good reason, because they brought in a lot of people, right? Trent Brown, Cam Robinson. I forgot to put him on this graphic. I'll make sure to fix that next time. But they also traded for Ed Ingram, Jarrett Patterson, Juice Stroud. I mean, there's a lot of people in this unit, but still, you need more competition. You need guys who are going to push some of these other guys and say, hey, who are the best 5 guys that we're going to have up front to protect C.J. Stroud and to help this run game get going? And I think with Cole Popovich, Nick Caserio, DeMeco Ryans, they want a full-on battle at camp for, I think, every position at this point. I don't think there's a single offensive line spot that they have penciled in right now at this point in the offseason. I don't think there's a single spot where we're like, oh, this is for sure going to be the starter week 1 of next season. I don't think there's a single one. Even Cam Robinson at left tackle, I think every single person they brought in, everybody on this roster is fighting for their spot in the starting lineup, which maybe DeMeco likes because he's a big competition guy, former player in the NFL, so he's not afraid of that competition whatsoever. That's all I have for you on today's video. Hey, root for the Astros. It's opening day. If you want to hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs, my DMs are always open. And if you made it to the end of the video, hey, why not hit that sub button? Free Texans content all year long. More draft content as well. We are the #1 Texans channel on YouTube for good reason. Go down and hit that subscribe button for more free content.